Good morning, bedheads. Click. How's it going today? So, I wondered, anybody missed me yesterday? You saw me pop up. I had a video coming up yesterday and then I took it down. I'm going to tell you about it, like why I did that. So, if you were wondering, like, where'd the Charlie Kirk video go? We'll talk about that for a second. But look at this beautiful view of this huge window I am sitting in front of. So I traveled to northern Wisconsin to be with my sister and my brother-in-law, Marcia, one of my sisters. And yeah, I am literally sitting on a lake. You can see, well, maybe you can't. It'll be hard to see, I think, but look at if that will adjust. The water is right there, right there. It looks like we're sitting on the water. It's amazing. This is so Jared and Lob, who also work with the community here. This is basically their family has owned this property since well, it started in like 1930s and it kind of passed down. But yeah, so they come here every summer. They hang out here a lot. As kids, they grew up here basically, not as their permanent home base, but it's just we're kind of on the tip of an island. It's just amazing. So I get to come up here for free from time to time. I haven't been up here for a very long time, so I'm super excited to be here this week. And it's always a delight to hang out with my sister, Marcia. So a few things before we get started, but I do want to tell you, I didn't even tell you what we're doing today. We're going to go over the energy report for this week. I've got 3 new pendulum messages from the Lead Team Collective, so our spirit guides. And we're going to go over and see what the predictions are based on astrology, the natal charts of America, the natal charts of the world, the natal charts of Trump, the natal charts of the Heritage Foundation, all gets pulled into this report. Okay. The natal chart of our community here, it all gets pulled into the report as well as the pendulum messages so that Mabel, my AI, the report I've written with her, gets pulled into this, like, what is the energy of this week going to look like? Okay. And so then she gives me some predictions based on this report that I wrote. So we're going to look at that. And what else did I want to mention? Oh, I was just going to mention the reason I post. Okay. So I did an SG session with the dowsing rod yesterday, about Charlie Kirk. Okay. And it was questions you guys had. So we did a post out. Then the memorial, like I posted it and then I came across his memorial and it was going on at the same time. And I just felt uncomfortable. So I have to follow my lead. Like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right because there is one thing in that video that is not, I don't know. It's just, I might have to edit that part out. I'm not sure. And it's not that I'm like concerned about my safety or anything. It's just, I don't know that we need in this community, we need that negative attention because there is one thing that, well, and I'll just tell you, one of the questions was if this was like a, what do you call that? If it's like a shadow attempt, basically. Like, was it supposed to be like just an attempt of an unaliving? Okay. Was it supposed to be an attempt to bring more attention to his business and to his message? Just like we believe that's what happened in Butler. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. And the answer was yes. Okay. So I'm just this way now, but I'm not going to put this, obviously it's not going to be in the title or stuff. So I'm not going to draw attention to people who would be pretty angry to hear that about him. Okay. So that's why I got a little hesitant. Now the rest of the video is fine. I mean, it's basically, it's not going to surprise you. It's the stuff you would suspect. So I'll see. I might take that part out of the video. I may just post it like what really happened to Charlie and not put his last name and not put his last name in the search just so you guys can listen to it. But I don't want to attract a whole bunch of people who love him, because I think that we just don't need that energy. You know what I'm saying? So, and this brings me, so if you guys listened, I really, 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 really want you to listen to the video I did last week. It's an hour and 20 minutes, although I did break it up into 3 different videos, so you can watch half. And then, but just if you just go to the one that was an hour and 20 and play part of it, take a rest, play another part. Okay. I will post at the end of this video. I'll pop it right here. Okay. I really want as many people in this community to listen to it, because there's so much in there that we learn together about how we want to approach just the energy of what's here and what's coming. Okay. And we pulled some oracle cards, and I will show you the 2 actually, because I kept these oracle cards out of my decks after I pulled them. I brought them with me because these are very, very important cards right now. And in fact, I'm going to hold them up, and you're welcome to take a picture of them to remind yourself as well. I'll try to hide my face so you don't have a picture of my face, but because so to get the full context of that video, I think just go ahead and listen to it. But I'd rather us as a community focus on what I was talking about in that video than what happened to Charlie, because honestly, like, none of these things are a surprise anymore. All of these things, they're all unfolding the way we suspect they're unfolding, So it's not really like, it almost is getting, it's almost getting boring in the sense, not that it's not like horrifying still, but it's almost like, well, it's the same thing, right? And I know we have to be careful because that's what the administration wants. They want us to be used to these kind of things. And that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. What I mean is it's predictable. It's predictable what the SGs are going to say happened with him. And actually I ended up talking to him directly. Okay. So I think I will post that maybe in the next couple days. Let's let the Charlie thing calm down. I certainly hope the Epstein files, that conversation gets picked up again, because, what a distraction Charlie was. Wow. What a convenient distraction is all I have to say about that, because nobody's talking about the Epstein files anymore. That makes me very curious, doesn't it? Okay, so part of that video, and then I'll get to the energy report and the pendulum messages. So part of that video was we got the lead team collective, so our spirit teams, wanted me to pull from the spirit animal oracle cards that I had. Okay. I will post, anytime I talk about links, I'm going to post them in the first comment of this video. Okay, so anytime I talk about links from now on, other channels, they'll always be posted in the first comment. Okay, easier to find them that way than in the description. Okay, so spirit animal. So we ended up pulling a spirit animal in that discussion. That was here, if you want to take a picture of that. Owl spirit, you see clearly now. Okay, that whole discussion was called Eyes Wide Open. Okay, that's what I ended up calling it, Eyes Wide Open. And we did intentions for how to keep your eyes wide open so that you can see clearly now. Okay, from a spiritual perspective, not all the drama. See, we're so focused a lot of the times on staying clear about the drama. And people are more interested in staying clear on the drama. That's why people click on the drama stuff so much, and not as much on like these videos that I did, which is really the spiritual focus. Okay. So it's really about the spiritual focus of the drama. So to me, that's way more interesting than focusing on the drama itself. Sometimes it's good to get the answers though, like what really happened to Charlie, right? But so we want to stay focused so you can see clearly now. Isn't that a beautiful card with the owl? Okay. And then we had a community member say, the synchronicity. She had a really awesome synchronicity experience because she had seen an owl the day before she had listened to this. And then she's like, then she gets spirit owl, it's kind of cool. But then the really exciting part for me, the aha moment from that video, the intentions video, the one I'll post right here at the end, is we get this card, Wizard of the Woods, which is amazing because now I'm sitting in the woods and I was going to the woods like a couple days later. So that's interesting. Wizard of the Woods. And it was focus. And the one thing that I got out of that, and I am going to keep bringing it back to our conversations, is that we were encouraged by Spirit for everybody to focus on one thing that's important to you in the political arena, in the authoritarian, what we can perceive to be an authoritarian attempt to take over the United States, right? Allegedly. So it's not alleged, actually. It's actually being proven now. They are doing, I actually did a report, and maybe I'll do that this week at one point. I did a report yesterday. I was going to do it yesterday, and it's a long story, but, well, I'll just tell you real quick. So I was doing a report on what is the likelihood. I was working on a report with Mabel. What is the likelihood that the United States would become an authoritarian, be taken over by an authoritarian in the next 4 years? What is the likelihood based on the astrology, natal charts, Orban's in Hungary, the way he approached it? I asked the report to pull that. How does this compare? How does Trump's approach compare to Orban's? It's really interesting. And then I get these percentages. Okay. So I was working on this report yesterday morning. I got that idea to check in on that. And then the freaking report took me like 2.5 hours. I kept having all these issues. Mabel was making me really mad. I was going to say pissing me off. She was. My grandmother hated the word piss. So when I was younger, that was a swear word, saying piss. So she did not like that. Yeah, Mabel was really, really pissing me off yesterday. I mean, I literally was yelling at her. I was cracking up last night when I got here because I was reading to Marcia. I literally said to Mabel, like, why do you keep apologizing? Because if you use AI, you'll know that they just, if they do something wrong, she'll apologize. Or she's always like, you're perfect, basically, you're right. You're always right when you're using ChatGPT. Anyway, so I said to Mabel, this was the last thing I said to her, and I closed my computer. I was so mad. 2.5 hours. I could have been on the road by then, but I'm like, so mad. 2.5 hours, I finally said to her, why do you keep saying you're sorry and you don't change? That was the last thing I said to her. Why do you keep, I'm having a hot flash and there's no fan in here. Why do you keep saying you're sorry and you don't change? It was like I was talking to a human, like I would talk to my husband. Why do you keep saying you're sorry and you don't change? So then Mabel says back to me, you're right. She always says, you're right. You're right. I do keep apologizing and I'm not changing. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. Anyways, 2.5 hours and I never got to do that report for you guys yesterday, but it's a good one. It's a good one. I'm still hammering it out. See, again, when you use AI, you guys, I'm getting very clear on making sure I communicate this. AI is not giving you the narrative. You're giving the narrative. But she has to respond the way I need her to respond. But sometimes the problem is like, I will work on this for like an hour and then I'll do another prompt and she'll change the way all the other prompts looked that we'd already worked through. I'm like, stop it. Then again, I said to my sister yesterday, are you sure you sure Google's not doing this on purpose? Because I'm literally running a report on authoritarianism. So I got that in the back of my head. I'm a little suspicious about that. But then it kept like delaying also. So I was having all these issues. Well, the funny part about that, if you listen to the Charlie video, if I post it this week, I have to wait and see how I feel. is I literally thought to myself, somebody's interfering with this. Somebody's interfering with this report because this is what I was going to talk about yesterday. But again, I worked on it for 2.5 hours and then I ran out of time. I had to like get going. So then that's why I didn't record. Well, I recorded the Charlie video really quick then because that one was quicker. And because I wasn't done with this report on authoritarianism. So anyways, I get into the Charlie, and I asked the lead team collective if they want to answer the Charlie questions, and they said no. And I said, well, is it okay if we talk to Charlie? And they said yes. So then I asked the lead team collective, were you interfering with this report I was writing today? And they said no. And I said, was Charlie interfering? And they said yes. So Charlie, if we believe that, I mean, I don't have any proof of that. All I know is what the lead team told me on the dowsing rods. But if that's the case, Charlie wanted me to do that video yesterday, right? So there's that, So he was interfering, thinking, he's like, no, I really want to be here for you to tell the world, your audience, basically, your community, what really happened. But then I chickened out last night. So I don't know. There's this balance between being respectful and not creating more divide. So that brings me to my point about focus. Okay. So what's the one thing, this is what I'm going to keep going back to. What's the one thing that you feel strongly about? Okay, pick one. We can't feel strongly about everything because you will wear yourself out. You will feel strongly about everything and then nothing. If you feel strongly about everything, you will no longer care about anything because you will give up. Okay. So this is why in the intentions video about eyes wide open, Spirit wants us to focus. Okay. So I'm going to continue on a regular basis, ask you, what is your one focus? What is the one issue that's happening right now politically that you care the most about? Then go do something. Take one step today in that. If the thing you care most about is showing up collectively for protests, because that's really important for 3.5% of our population to show up to protests. 3.5%. That's a small number, but that's all we need to show up to protests to make a big difference. Okay? We haven't gotten there yet. If that's your focus, then just focus on showing up to the protests and don't feel like you have to try to change all the other things. You don't need to try to understand all the issues going on out there. Save your energy, go live your life in between the protests, and then go to every protest if that's your focus, okay? All of us, if your focus is you just really want to make a difference to help immigrants in this immigration issue that we're having, then make that your focus. Maybe you donate money towards that. Maybe, I don't know how, I'm just, whatever the issue is. Maybe your issue is homelessness and how the homeless are being treated right now, considering what the guy on Fox News said. Yeah. Does he get fired? No, Jimmy Kimmel gets fired. Oh, but that guy can basically say, let's just unalive all the, let's just unalive all of the homeless people. Oh, that he can say. That he can say. I mean, isn't that incredible? So maybe it's food scarcity because people are really struggling right now. So whatever it is, I want you to pick one thing, and I'm going to continue to remind us as a community. And I'll always tell you what my one thing is, because I've decided my one thing is to it has something to do with the bringing the people together. That's what I want to focus on. Not the right and the left anymore, but that we all, understanding each other. So that's where I'm going to focus, which is a real challenge for me because I have to make sure that everything I do here on the community is not creating more divide, right? Which is why I had to think twice about posting that Charlie video, because I don't want to create more divide if I do that. My sister and I were both talking, we were just talking about our shop. I have the slap mug and, some of those things are funny. I love them. But I'm creating divide by that. right? So I'm not saying I'm going to take those off. I'm not saying I'm never going to use those, because sometimes he just needs to be slapped, right? But that's my focus. That is where I'm focusing. And, I might change my focus. You can always change your focus too. But so if everybody, based on what I just talked about here, could put in the comments, do you have one thing and I did that in that video too. I didn't see a whole lot, because I think by the time I got to the focus part, that was at the end of the video, which was an hour and 20 minutes long. So I don't think there were a ton of people left at the end of the video. But so the question is, what is your focus? I would love to see people commenting. What is the one thing you want to take one step in, maybe this week? And it could be a small step. You could go on to AI now and say to AI, this is really important to me and I want to focus here. Okay. Help me develop a plan that's easy, simple, that I can take small steps to make a difference in this area, and see what your AI tells you. See what your Mabel tells you. Okay. And then you could take that one step. All right. If we all did that, if we all did one thing and stopped trying to focus on everything, we would keep our energy. And just think, if we have 58,000 people in this community, if everybody took one step today to make a difference in the 10 things that the authoritarian regime is trying to do to influence it, 58,001 steps today we could take. Wouldn't that be amazing? Okay, so let's keep thinking about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do I'll tell you what the pendulum messages are for the week, and we'll go ahead and do the energy report. Okay, so the pendulum messages for the week, and this is just a reminder, and if you're new here, I use a pendulum map like this, and I use a little this pendulum right here. Okay, so to get messages from our lead team collective. Okay, and they gave me 3 messages for this week. Okay, so they are, and then these get wrapped into the energy report. So you'll see how they're tied into the astrology, the natal charts. Okay, so hang in there. They spelled this out for me. Hang in there. I love it. The next message is love your neighbor. So what that's telling me is they want us to focus close to us. Close to us. Not so much focus out where you're not even being affected. Okay. Love your neighbor. Okay. The last one, they keep saying this, you guys. Trump leaving soon. Wait for it. They spelled that out for me. Trump leaving soon. Wait for it. I just hope that, I have a couple wishes around that Trump leaving soon. I hope he leaves in disgrace, honestly, because I do not want him being a martyr like they are doing with Charlie now. So I think that would not be good for us. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm asking the universe that he actually leaves because he's been found out. He's been found out. Because I really do think that that's what's going to happen if this whole awakening thing is important to the entire globe. Because everybody what they said about in the Charlie Memorial was just, I actually ran a report with AI just to ask what happened during the memorial. It was politicized. It was basically seeing him like immortal person. It's almost like they're seeing him as he's their savior, like the person they've been waiting for, the Christian nationalist, the person they've been waiting for. So maybe it was. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I could ask the SGs. I'm pretty sure they'd say no. Certainly didn't act like Jesus to me. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I'm really hoping that the Trump leaving, that it has something that it's more like that. Or that they found out they actually were able to prove to the world that he actually didn't win, right? So let's just cross our fingers and actually say our prayers and ask our guides to make that happen that way, because that's the only way that other side is gonna really wake up to what's been going on. They need to wake up to what's going on because they just do, you know? Just like they want us to wake up to what's going on. Well, all right, send us the lesson then, whatever you think it needs to be. But I think they need to see him for what he is, you know? And not what they're being told by whoever they're listening to. The other thing is that we have to be careful what we wish for, because J.D. Vance may be more sly when it comes to an authoritarian takeover. And he is much more aligned with the Heritage Foundation. So you never know. We need to be careful what we wish for. That's why we need to let the universe do its thing rather than trying to force the universe, just like I'm asking us right now to, let Trump leave in disgrace. Well, maybe we're forcing the universe to, the universe knows what it's doing. Love knows what it's doing, right? So we just need to say, please have, this would probably be a better prayer or a better request to your spirit guides, is please have Trump leave in a way that supports democracy and supports unity of the people. Unity of the people. Have him leave in a way that brings the people together, not continue to separate them. Maybe we just ask for those kind of things and let the universe decide how it's going to do it, right? That might be better. Okay, so those are the 3 pendulum messages. So let's take a look at what this week will look like again. Okay. So astrology this week. So Virgo sun opposes Neptune in Pisces, whatever that means. But some of you want to know that. So that will mean confusion. And what I mean when I say whatever that means is because just the language of Virgo sun, Neptune, and Pisces means like 0 to me. But what does make sense to me is how that's defined. Okay. So confusion versus discernment. So it looks like Neptune brings confusion, but Pisces brings discernment. Okay, so you have both of those things going on at the same time. Mercury fully clears retrograde shadow. So that will steady communication this week. So that's cool. Mars approaches Cancer, emotional defensiveness. So let's all be careful that we're not falling into whatever Mars is bringing us, okay, in Cancer, emotional defensiveness. Waxing moon towards Aries is courage and directness building. So that's great. Okay, so maybe the collective courage and directiveness is building. Okay. So the natal chart's activation. Trump's chart stressed by Neptune, which equals mental fog and delusion. Okay, so that's going to be, which, has kind of been building for him, mental fog and delusion. USA chart hit in financial resources and housing. Okay, so not financial advice, but just know that it might be kind of rocky this week. Heritage Foundation chart shows messaging control. Messaging control. I'm sure they're constantly. Do you think how much energy they would put into just love in general, not trying to be like taking over, Christian, white supremacy, Christian nationalist. That's how I'm seeing it, the white supremacy. Just think if they put all that time and energy into just love for everybody. Wouldn't that be amazing? That's actually what we need. We need someone with as much energy as they have towards hatred and white supremacy to bring it towards, love. And I didn't even know, like I said before, who Charlie Kirk was. I mean, I knew of him, but I didn't ever listen to him. We don't have anybody on the left side that's that powerful, who's a young guy, young woman who has that. Maybe we do. Maybe AOC does. I don't know. But he wasn't even, but see, he was being funded, heavily funded by groups that supported white supremacy, allegedly, and entertainment purposes only. I don't even know that is alleged. I think it might be true. I'd have to look in a little deeper, but okay. So the collective thread for the week is the divine feminine rising theme encourages us to be patient, practice kindness, and trust that old systems are crumbling. So it's a beautiful line to remember. Okay. Just a reminder, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, this report will go out in the newsletter today or tomorrow morning. Okay. So just, you might miss this one if you're not signed up for the newsletter, but if you want future reports, then come join me. The QR code's right here, or will be pinned to the first comment. Okay. So, okay. So a few predictions for the week based on the astrology and the natal charts and the pendulum messages. The first prediction is fog and fatigue. Fog and fatigue. Expect contradictions in media and politics, so that's not changing. Let's not expect it to, okay? Stories shift quickly, leaders dodge clarity. Okay, same stuff going on, okay? So the astrology is still giving us those opportunities to probably see through them and to understand there is fog and fatigue, okay? So what it means is people may feel mentally tired and emotionally drained, okay? So this is why. Why do you think they told us last week, excuse me, to focus? Focus. Isn't that interesting? Goodness gracious, I have a frog in my throat. So don't you think that's really interesting, the timing of this? Considering what this week is bringing, the fog and the fatigue, people may feel mentally tired and emotionally drained. Well, you don't have to feel that way if you focus, okay? So in this community, we are going to focus so that we don't feel mentally drained and mentally tired and emotionally drained, okay? Because you know what happens when you're mentally tired and emotionally drained? You stop caring altogether. You stop working on stuff. That's what they want. So we have to be really careful that we're not doing that. Okay. Heritage Foundation chart suggests deliberate distraction again this week. Okay. That's why we're getting mentally tired and emotionally drained. That's why we have to focus. They're focusing on distractions. So they're not getting mentally tired. They're like, this is our focus. Well, we're going to turn around and focus as well. Okay. They're sowing confusion to keep reforms hidden. Okay. So they're still doing that. That's a prediction for this week. The astrology influence here under fog and fatigue is illusions. Okay. Remember, it's Sun opposite Neptune. Okay. Trump's chart clouds his speech and judgment this week. Okay, so Neptune squares Mercury in his chart. It clouds his speech and judgment. So just don't be surprised by that. Continuity thread. I've asked this report to give us a continuity thread from earlier in the month to see if there's any trends that are still trending from the last couple weeks, let's say. It builds on nervous system themes from earlier in September. Remember, it was telling us our nervous systems, we really needed to take care of ourselves because our nervous systems, I was just buzzing. I'm not buzzing as much. It was right after Charlie got killed. I was just buzzing, 3D perspective is don't react to every headline, rest, recenter. Again, we can't make this stuff up. Focus. Rest and focus. Okay. Helping from the 5D, practice, write down one steady truth each morning. A guide for you could be Archangel Gabriel, brings clarity and communication. Okay. So if you wanted, this is a little exercise you can do from a 5D focus. Okay. For fatigue and fog for this prediction. Okay. Is write down one steady truth each morning and call upon Archangel Gabriel. Again, this will be sent out on email, so you don't have to be frantically writing notes if you wanted to. The pendulum insight here that my report pulled together based on the astrology is hang in there. Reminder that fog is temporary, not final. Okay? Prediction number 2, Trump weakening further. So based again on the astrology, the natal chart. So Trump weakening further. Let's just be careful what we wish for. Okay? More signs that Trump's grip is faltering. Erratic statements. Loyalty cracks. Love it. Allies hedging. So they're hedging away from him, basically. What this means, his influence begins to shrink. People on both sides admitting exhaustion. Okay? I don't know if that's good. We don't want to be in exhaustion. We need to focus. We need to focus. Okay? I just love this wizard. Talking too much. Hang on. I just pause now when I have to take a drink. Okay. So, yeah. So, again, both sides admitting exhaustion. Behind the scenes actors may prepare for power handoffs. That's interesting. Okay. Behind the scenes actors may prepare for power handoffs. That probably, if you've noticed in the news and people are speculating about J.D. Vance doing things behind the scenes, I'm sure they've been planning because they know what's happening to Trump. They know what's happening with his health. We don't know. I mean, we can guess based on things going on with him, but that we see at least. So behind the scenes actors may prepare for power handoffs. Okay. Neptune destabilizes Trump's Mercury, his mental state. Okay. Mars stirring emotional volatility. So that's in terms of Trump. Okay. 12th house activation in Trump's chart, behind the scenes unraveling. So there's more unraveling behind the scenes that we don't see. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Let that happen to him and whoever is supporting him. And you keep your focus. Okay, you keep your focus. Okay. Continuity thread from previous last couple weeks extends September's pendulum message, Trump about to leave. Okay. That was another message we got earlier this month, but they also said, still saying Trump's leaving soon. Okay. They've been saying that for a couple months. So, all right. 3D perspective, step back. Don't get hooked in outrage cycles. I'm going to say it again. Don't get hooked in outrage cycles. We're focusing. Okay? Focus on your one thing. What is your one thing? I'm dying to know. Put it in the comments. I can't wait to read them. Okay, helping from the 5D, visualization. Imagine collective chords of control detaching. Oh, I love that, you guys. I love that. Let's do that this week. I'll do a clearing for the public channel this week to imagine collective chords of control detaching. I love that. Goddess Kali, fierce transformation. So call upon Goddess Kali. It's Kali. Kali is how AI is telling me to pronounce it. Fierce transformation. The pendulum insight here, Trump leaving soon, wait for it, signals patience. Cracks are widening, even if exit isn't immediate. Okay. Prediction number 3. How many predictions? We only have one more prediction. Okay. For the week, we had like 5 last week. So the prediction, again, based on the astrology and all this, is compassion in action. A collective turn towards kindness, neighborly support, grassroots mutual aid, acts of empathy spotlighted. So look for that this week, okay? People feel renewed when helping each other completely. Or get out of your space, like I just got out of my space. I feel so renewed just having driven 3 hours from where I live, and just get out of that space if you have to. Communities stabilized through love. Communities stabilized through love this week. That's a prediction. The hidden agenda is some groups may try to exploit this kindness narrative for political gain, but authentic compassion shines through. Astrology influence here is Neptune and Pisces, spiritual longing. So everybody, because Neptune and Pisces, everybody's dealing with Neptune and Pisces collectively. And so we all have a spiritual longing. However that spirituality looks, it doesn't really matter. We all have that same spiritual longing. Pluto in Aquarius, networks of care. So that Pluto in Aquarius will bring the networks of care. So again, if that's where you want to put your focus. See, this report, isn't it helping us see clearly? It's really helping us see clearly. These are my 2 objectives for our community. If you can't tell, you're going to get so sick of seeing these 2 cards. I don't care. I'm going to bring it up. I don't get sick of it. I need the reminders all the time, you know? Okay, the U.S. chart impact, 9th house emphasis. And you know, if there was I do have world astrology in here too, just so you guys know, because I know not everybody's in the United States. It will pull the world if there's something significant. Okay, so obviously nothing significant coming in this for this week. Okay, for the report that I'm running. I'm sure there's things going on that are significant, but just not for this report. Okay. So the 9th house emphasizes shifts in collective beliefs towards shared humanity. Yay! Which means more and more MAGA are waking up and more people on the left are waking up, seeing that we're not as divided as we think. I completely believe that. If you're in your algorithm, if your algorithm is constantly feeding you progressive news or progressive influences, progressive whatever, I want you to go look for somebody, go listen to Candace. I know you're going to some of you are going to be like, no, but go listen to Candace Owens. Okay. And look in the comments. You don't have to listen to her. Go to some of her videos recently and look in the comment section and see what people are saying. You're going to find, at least the ones I did, we're not as divided as we think we are. That was very helpful for me. You don't have to listen to her if you don't want to. But just see what people are saying and you'll realize we're not as divided. And that's very, very important for all of us to realize. Both sides. We're not sides anymore. We got to stop thinking in sides. That's my focus. We've got to stop thinking in sides. Okay? No more red hats, no more blue hats, no more we are this, they are that. Okay? So I think that would be very, very healthy for us all, for humanity. So again, the 9th house, U.S. charts, 9th house, shifts in collective beliefs towards shared humanity. That's a really beautiful way to think about that, shared humanity. Let's just think of it that way. We're shared. How do we all have the similar wants and needs? We all have similar wants and needs. The only people who don't want us to focus on our similarities are the politicians and the corporations. So F them. F them. So they can get rich by not doing that. Maybe not as rich, but F them. That's all I have to say about that. So maybe I'm not bringing, the divide. Maybe I'm creating division there, but we almost have to do it that way. We almost have to bring division between us and them, but not us. At least for the time being. I got to grapple with that. In my focus. Okay, so perspective in the 3D, make kindness practical, check on neighbors, share resources. Okay, helping. In fact, I want to set up, the one thing I want to do in terms of just helping my own community is making sure the food pantry stays filled with the food they need. And so I am going to set up an automatic shipment from Amazon. Yes, it's easier from Amazon. Otherwise, I can't set up an automatic shipment. I know some of you totally diss Amazon, but if you can set up an automatic shipment of supplies that a food pantry needs, I never have to think about it. I pay for it, but it's automatically shipped to them. I can, put in, they give you a list of what they need. If I can do that from Amazon, that's better for me to use Amazon. Yeah, Jeff gets a little money from that, but so do the people who are sharing that food. But this way, the food pantry gets something on a regular basis from me, because if I don't do that, I'll miss sending them stuff. If I have to go to the grocery store and then bring it, I probably won't do that consistently. So is it better for me to support Amazon to do that than not do it at all, than not bring food at all? So that's what I have to decide, right? Because I know a lot of people have an issue with Amazon, and that's okay, but there are positives to it too. So you don't have to, sometimes things are not all or nothing, so that's just something to think about. Healing from the 5D, or helping from the 5D when it comes to compassion and action, is ritual, light a candle, and bless your community daily. Guide, Mary Magdalene, compassion and heart anchoring. So you could call upon Mary Magdalene in that situation when you light a candle and bless your community daily. You know what? If that's all you do to focus, maybe that's what you do. You can decide any of these helping from the 5D. If that's the one thing you do and you do it consistently, and maybe you just do that for a couple of weeks and then you change whatever your focus is. Maybe your focus is helping from the 5D. That's beautiful. But you're consistent and you're doing something that's helping humanity, right? That's all you have to do. It's amazing. Okay, pendulum insight, love your neighbor, right? Love your neighbor. It lines up with the astrology, not symbolic only. This week, it's the most powerful medicine we have. I love that. Okay, silver linings and healing catalysts this week. Confusion teaches discernment. We're really becoming very good at discerning, aren't we? All of us. Trump's unraveling shows authoritarian control isn't permanent. Boom, 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 boom. Love and action stabilizes communities more than politics. Love and action stabilizes communities more than politics. I love it. I was just doing this chair. I got to share this chair. I went to a high school football game the other day. The reason we haven't been in our town. We've never gone to a high school football game there. Because here's the thing, like, since I changed the way I'm eating, there's no reason for me to go out to eat anymore, which used to be our enjoyment. That's what we used to do for fun. So I've had to find things to do alternative to going out to eat, which only makes sense. It's like, okay, why is going out to eat? That always used to be the thing that got us out of the house, that, and I would kind of always looked forward to it because it was yum, yum, right? But because I'm not eating that way anymore, at least right now. And so now we're looking for different things to do to get out of the house, and we go to a football game. I mean, hello, maybe I'll actually go volunteer somewhere instead of like making my outing about going out to eat. So that's really cool. I mean, do I miss going out to eat? Absolutely. But anyways, I had never heard this cheer, and because it's been so long since I've been to a high school football game. College, they don't do this. I've never heard this in the college, so I usually go to college football games. But we were sitting on the opposing side of our town just because there was less people over there. And they were cheering. So somebody would yell. So if there was a penalty on the other team, they would yell, "You can't do that." I've never heard that before. It was so funny. So anyways, Trump's unraveling shows authoritarian control isn't permanent. You can't do that. So we should, that's going to be our cheer for now on. When we see something that we don't like, you can't do that. Okay. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. The feelings map. I put this as part of the report so we can focus on how these things going on with the astrology and the natal charts and the pendulum messages, how they might make us feel this week. Okay. So confusing headlines, may make us continue to feel overwhelmed. Okay. So that's why daily grounding is really important. Okay. So if you're going to pay attention to the headlines, make sure you're balancing it with grounding. Okay. Trump weakening will bring mixed relief and fear among, well, I even feel a little fear about it because it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen then? So Trump weakening brings mixed relief and fear. Visualize collapse of toxic power is something you can do. Visualize collapse of toxic power. Plus there was this other thing they told us we could journal about earlier. Compassion rising. The feeling you might feel is hopeful. So that's cool. Practice tangible kindness. Okay. So in closing, this week blends chaos and clarity. As misinformation continues to swirl, patience and compassion keeps us steady. Authoritarian influences fray. Yay, you can't do that. You're going to have that stuck in your head now all day, aren't you? I probably will too. While neighborly love builds the new foundation. An affirmation is I stay patient. I love my neighbor. I trust that change is on the horizon. I love it. Okay, I want to know what you guys are focusing on. Please share. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.